a lot of times in life, we don't let things happen. We prevent things from happening that would better our lives, and is from fear, really, fear of the unknown. I think unknown's my best friend, because in the unknown is where all the winning is at, is where all the opportunities are.
For me personally, also. You're a saint.
The Doing the Work podcast is brought to you by some amazing sponsors who we're very grateful for, that allow us to do this amazing podcast that brings you information that helps you to be more connected and be more healthy and helps you grow in your life. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't know about fitness and strength and conditioning. They think that the harder you work in the gym, the more you crush yourself, the more weight you're lifting, the faster you go, the better you're going to get. And actually, that doesn't follow science. What follows science is that when you are in the gym or you're doing your training, you're actually breaking down, which means that you're dipping below where you were before. You're essentially causing trauma to your body. And the only way that we actually get better is to compensate for that breakdown and to recover better. So that's what Strive Human Optimization is all about. It's about helping you to recover better and more effectively so that you can continue to train hard and you can continue to get better, in whether that be in your strength training or your endurance training or just your general wellness. They've got things like cold plunges, infrared saunas, compression therapy, and a lot more that's going to help you to continue to make progress in and outside of the gym. So if you're interested in that, check them out at www.shobashdrop.com. That's www.shobashdrop.com. All right, Chris Duncan, I'm excited to have you on the show, man. You and I have known each other for quite a while. Yeah. Rocking that Courage. That's how we actually met, was through Courage. We started working together. I'd say probably, I guess it must have been like 2017 or something like that. It was a while back. And right off of the bat, you struck me as someone, well, even how you designed your logo, which you might even get into this show, but like all the thought behind your logo and your brand and how you live your life, really left an impression on me right away. And, I appreciate, something I love in a person is people who hustle, and who grind it out. And you've definitely been someone who's been the shining example of that for me. And that's why I've got you on the show. So I'm super pumped to have you, man.
I'm honored to be here, man. Likewise, all the same to you. And I think we have a lot of the same values. So I think your listeners will get a lot out of the show. We're going to teach them, and they'll teach us one day too. That's how it works.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a lot of give and take. Well, I'd love to. How do you introduce yourself when you're meeting people? Like, how do you describe what you do and who you are and all that stuff?
Yeah. So who is Chris Duncan? Dude, I was raised really poor. I grew up on the Georgia-Alabama line in the middle of the woods in an old single-wide trailer. Actually, I'll show you a picture right here.
We share that same upbringing. I grew up in the trailer park myself. That's yep. Awesome.
And grew up living paycheck to paycheck. Well, my mom and dad did. A lot of people where I'm from, probably the same with you, didn't really have a lot of big expectations out of life. Really, didn't really expect to go out into the world and do much. And since that upbringing, also when I was like 2 or 3 years old, I had a very bad ear infection, which left me with a lot of hearing loss. So I have a lot of hearing loss right now. I wear hearing aids. And so I had a lot of stuff stacked against me. And I have created a great life for myself. And through courage, through hustle. And one of my goals in life is to show people what is possible, by leading by example, in doing so. So, yeah, man, I'm just a normal guy that was born like a lot of people, but I've created a great life for myself, and I'm very humble to have done that. And I'm not where I want to go, but I'm happy right now. I'm always been happy and always will be happy. But I'm excited to see where life's going to take me. and we can get into a lot of that story.
Yeah, I'd love to get into that. I think what you just said is really important, and a lot of people listening to this show. After all these years, I've been, I'd say I've been really, I think it's just part of, I mean, even as a kid, like always trying to help people with their goals and stuff like that. Like one thing that I've learned is like nobody's ever where they want to be, and I think that's just part of the human condition. But I think the balance of kind of what you just said is like, okay, I've got aspirations, I've got goals, and I'm content, and I'm okay with where I'm at. It's not an either or thing. And I think for real quality of life, that's super important. So I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I know that, so Courage is how I met you, but you've started you've got other businesses and other ventures going on. I would call you a true, pure entrepreneur. You're constantly every time I meet you, you've got a new idea and a new thing that you're working on, which again, I love that. I'm kind of like that too.
To a fault sometimes.
I mean, same.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't change a thing. I love to create. No. I'm okay with failing. And so I get that. But what would you say you do for a living? What do you do on your day-to-day life?
Best way to describe what I do for a living is entrepreneur, creator. So I have a few different businesses. I have a main business that generates most of my income, which allows me to do some other side projects that will either bloom into overtaking that business or will at least teach me a lot of stuff along the way and are fun along the way. So my main business is so I own a marketing agency for gyms and fitness studios, and that brings in most of my income. It creates massive value for our customers, but it also allows me some time to do other stuff. So I have an employee. I have a lot of it automated, and it's kind of like a 4-hour work week to where it only takes a few hours a week for me to continue creating massive value for our customers, and also then pursue some of these other projects that I have going on too. Courage is one of my businesses. I have an app in the financial industry, trying to hustle on this year. So I got a lot going on, and I just love to create, got ideas, and I'm excited to try new stuff, and I just love it, man.
Yeah, if you're like me, you've got there's ideas constantly bubbling up. Someone mentions something to you, like a problem or something like that, and you're like, oh, you get excited about it. And so there's probably no lack of ideas that you have, but how do you choose which ones you actually pursue? Do you have any methodology for that?
It really depends on what's different stages of my life. So now, back when I didn't have any money, the business I pursue, which are the ones that are going to put money in my pocket, and it might not have been the one that I was most passionate about, but it's something. Sometimes you got to do what you don't want to do to get to where you want to go.
Absolutely.
And so a little bit of sacrifice now will open up huge opportunities down the road. That's what I've learned, and so it depends. Do I need money in my pocket right now? Right now, I have, I'm financially stable, financially free. I'm not a millionaire by no means, but I have, I'm not hurting. So right now, the way I choose it is, okay, I have a stable income. Now, what do I actually feel like my vision, my purpose is for life? And that's ever evolving, man, as far as that. But like I said, I want to show people what's possible. So this coming year, what I'm going to do is be more creative. I want to really attack YouTube, and I'm really good at video. And I think that's one of my talents that I haven't really got to show the world yet. And I want to make the most out of that. So I'm going to really start on my YouTube this year. It's going to be around motivation. It's going to be around courage. It's going to be around adventure. And then tips, tricks, stuff that I do, stuff that other people have done, stuff that I've learned, and really providing value and helping other people create a great life for themselves too.
Yeah, I love that, because I think, similar to you, what I've really figured out for myself is how can I make a living? How can I, get some of my needs met while contributing to the world in the ways that I'm on fire about. And so like what you just said is I love that. It's just like, you're going to find the things that you already love to do that you probably do for free already. And then you're going to give that to the world and again, try to just make, maybe expand your quality of life by doing that. And now like we were talking about with things like YouTube and social media and all the technologies that are kind of emerging, we can more than any time ever in the history of humankind, we're able to really get those gifts into the hands of people, way more people.
Yeah, the more you give, the more you receive. It's a universal law, and it's hard to understand until you do it, and then you understand once you start.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about your background that I know. You grew up as an athlete. I know you played baseball. I think you played ball in college. Is that where, I'm curious about because I know, I grew up, my family were farmers, right? And they were farmers that, again, we were poor. We didn't have a lot of money. And then, my mom moved out of that town. And then again, we didn't have money. We were moving from shitty apartment to trailer to, all those different places. And in that process, what I learned was the grind, the hustle, the how to get scrappy, how to make things, put things together, create something out of nothing. And I'm curious, where was that born for you? Like what, was that through your sports? Was that through a family or what?
Yeah. When you don't have anything and you want something, you got to figure out how to get it. This is exactly it, man. So I grew up financially poor, but I was rich in some areas of my life. I had a family that loved me. And another way I struck gold was I had a dad who pushed me in sports, and he was a great motivator. So he was a well-known baseball coach in our hometown. He created some amazing baseball players and knew how to get the most out of people. And I grew up watching that, and I grew up in those hands. And he always taught me, he said, so we do a workout, and after the workout, he'd be like, so you want to be the best? I was like, yeah, I want to be the best. It was like, so you want to be the best baseball player? You want to go pro? I was like, yeah, I want to go pro. All right. Well, right now, you're sitting here resting. There's someone else out there still working. They're swinging the bat right now. They're lifting weights. They're getting better. And you're sitting here doing nothing. So are you going to be better than them doing that? I was like, no. Like, now let's get back to work. Let's do some extra. And so it kind of always stuck with me as like, somewhere out there's someone outworking you. They're going to take your lunch money. If you're in a competition, then you got to have that mindset. And life is a competition. So yeah, another one of those things he taught me was, always hustle, 100% effort. And that really stuck with me too. So all of my social media handles are Duncan Hustle.
That's right.
Chris Duncan is already taken on all social media. So I was like, well, if I had to create a name for myself, what would it be? I was like, Duncan Hustle. I like that. So yeah, that's another one I believe in. Hustle and courage, two of the main characteristics and values I live by. But yeah, baseball taught me how to fail. In baseball, you can go to Hall of Fame by only succeeding 3 out of 10 times. You fail more than you succeed. And learning how to win, learning how to compete, all that came through sports, mainly baseball for me. And that taught me work ethic. If you ask any baseball player that ever grew up playing baseball around me, they'd say I was the hardest worker in the room. And what I thought my goal was at that time was to become a professional baseball player. That didn't work out, but what it taught me, what I didn't realize then, but what it was actually teaching me is how to win in anything you ever do in life. And that's the main thing that I got from playing sports, because all sports are microcosms for life. And if you can win, if you know how to win in sports, then you can carry that over to life. And I didn't know that at the time, but now that I got outside of sports, I can see I can apply that anywhere. And that same work ethic that I built playing baseball is now in my blood. I can't turn it off, and I don't want to turn it off because it's fun.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that I would say that it did work out for you. You know, maybe you aren't playing professional baseball, but like you said, all that paid off. And that's for, I like to work with young people. And that's one of the things that I try to help them to understand. A lot of people have aspirations of some sort of, something grand, being a professional football player, a baseball player, the president of the United States or something like that. And it's like, I say shoot for it. It's going to be hard to get there, but you may not end up at that particular goal. But when you're striving for excellence, when you're trying to be elite, you've developed a work ethic that helps you to strive for something like that. It is absolutely going to pay off for you in one way or another. And that's the thing for me. I played sports my whole life. I was in the military. I'm in business, and I've never been the most talented. I'm not the most gifted, but I like to work. I love to work. And when I played sports, I actually enjoyed practice more than the games. I wanted to be there hustling, grinding. I wanted to be the one leading the way for the team and be a part of something bigger than myself. And I really, I know you and I share those same values,
Yeah.
And,
When you live your life that way, not only do you better your life, you better the people around you because they see you and it wears off on them. Like at my high school, our baseball program was mediocre. Me and the guys I played baseball with, we got into our high school and we changed the culture because we knew how to work hard. We knew what it took to win. And instead of them hoping they make the playoffs, when we left, when we graduated, they were expecting to go deep into the playoffs. We changed the culture, and now it's still the same way. So if you get some leaders that come in somewhere and they change the culture because they lead by example, it can have ramifications that last generations. You plant seeds that grow.
absolutely, absolutely. I think team is so important. I can actually benchmark my life by my successes and my failures, some of my most catastrophic failures in life by when I was trying to be a part of a team versus when I was trying to go out there and do things alone and on my own, like a lone wolf. And certainly there's value to that. But I can always say the most successful aspects of my life, again, looking back on sport, looking back on the military, looking back on business, is when I had a team with me that we were able to feed off of each other and pick each other up when we're down and push each other forward. And one thing that I recall about you is that I thought was super awesome was that I remember you lived in a house of creators, and I can't remember what
Yeah.
you called that house.
We called it Entrepreneur House.
Yes.
And when I first moved to Austin, I didn't know anyone, just came out here, didn't know a soul, but decided I was going to come out here and tackle life. And I had the idea to start Courage, and we can get into what that means, but basically it's a brand that represents the virtue of courage. People wear it when they need to feel courageous in life. No matter what that means to them, it's their courage shirt, their courage hat, and gives them motivation. So I started this company, and I had another buddy who was interested to start a business. So we decided, you know what? It'd be really cool if we had a house and we actually lived this life. We slept it, we breathed it. So let's find a house, man. Let's see what we can do. We'll get one other person. We were planning on 3 people. So we found this house in Hyde Park, up in central Austin, and it was a 6-person house. It was huge. It actually was a old sorority house. It was huge. And we're like, man, we need 3 other people. And we only had 2 people at the time. So we hustled, started making some contacts, and we ended up getting 6 entrepreneurs living in this one house. And that was one of the most amazing years of my life. So every Sunday we had accountability session. So everybody, you didn't have to attend, but it was something everybody did. We had a whiteboard. Okay, what's your goals this week? How'd you do on your goals last week? Do you need any help with anything? Everybody has their own specialty and different skill sets they can bring to the table. So we go around the room, and not only did that help us develop our skills and keep us accountable, but it kind of lit us on fire that Sunday night to hit Monday up and running. Yeah, it was great. So uh, right now we got a guy who owns a big solar company that was there. Uh, at the time, we had none of these businesses. So like this is kind of what people accomplish after that. Big solar company. We got a guy who runs a robotic company. Let me show you one of these pictures of this something he's created. It's he created Iron Man suit at his robotics company. To you've seen the
What?
movie Iron Man?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is it right here. This is me in
Wow.
it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so they're developing this for the military. It gives you machine-like strength, machine-like speed, power, all this stuff. It's in very early stages, and I am okay to show you this picture. I've been okay, but so he's done that. I got another guy started a big construction company, and I'm doing my thing. And yeah, this little seed has grown, and we're kind of doing bigger things now. It's going to be really interesting in 30 years to see where all the entrepreneur house guys have gone and what they've done.
Yeah. Do you have plans to kind of keep that going? Like, I know y'all don't live together still, but do you, cause you know, you hear all the time about, and people will try to sell you for like big dollars, you know, and the term is escaping me right now, but essentially that, right? Like these little groups of people who come together regularly to support each other over time. Like, is that something you guys still do, or is it kind of like faded away?
Yeah. We try to meet up once a month. Usually turns into once every 2 or 3 months because we have a lot going on. A couple of them have kids now, so it's a lot more complicated than it used to be, right? But yeah, we meet up and we try to keep in touch. I think what you might have been trying to say is like a mastermind group or
Mastermind. That's the word.
yep,
Yes.
yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are a little bit more structured and well organized than what we do. We just grab drinks every once in a while now these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, but I think I think it's the unstructured, low key, organic way that things happen that actually a lot of times they grab more traction than, you know, because sometimes you gotta, you know, you go to one of those groups, you go to a conference, you go to something like that, and like there's like this high set of expectation where people are really trying really hard, and you know, it's sometimes it doesn't foster the most effective and productive environment, you know?
Yeah, I like how you said that. Just kind of letting things happen because I think a lot of times in life we don't let things happen. We prevent things from happening that would better our lives, and is from fear, really, fear of the unknown. I think unknown's my best friend because in the unknown is where all the winning is at, is where all the opportunities are. So that's one of the ways I live my life is trying to get out in the unknown and telling other people and telling myself too that you gotta let life happen. You're trying to plan every step in your head. All you know is what you've known in the past, and you can't tell the future, but life knows what it has in store for you, and you have to let life take you because if you never let life take you, you're not gonna know what you could have accomplished and go where you want to go. So quit trying to predict the future. Quit trying to plan every step because as soon as you take one step, a whole new road is going to open up that you could have never even predicted unless you had took that first step. So don't try to plan your steps because life has better steps out there for you. It just wants you to take the first so it can show you the next.
Yeah. We're horrible predictors of the future. Humans have proven that time and time again. You know, but like you said, you know, possibilities will open up for you when you just move in that direction.
You don't have to have everything planned. You just have to have your first step plan and then life will open up and you could have never predicted where it leads you.
A couple minutes ago, you said something like we block or prevent ourselves from like progress. You know, you said something along those lines. What are some of the things that you see people do or that you've even done that like block or prevent success?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, a few different things is they don't have a clear path of what they want to accomplish. So they don't have a goal. If you do have a goal, then a lot of people never take action to try to get that goal because they're scared of failure. So being scared of failure, yeah, basically it is that, man. It's not giving life a chance, not taking the plunge, and not giving it a shot. So a lot of people try to over analyze, overthink, when really it's about simple actions every day, and taking one step forward every day, and not trying to plan out the whole thing, just a little bit at a time, and that builds up before you know it. You've learned a lot before you know it. You've sharpened your saw before you know it, and you're a weapon before you know it. Like, you just got to get out there and get started.
Yeah, I completely agree. I recently, and I don't know why it took me so long to read it, but I recently read The Alchemist, and everybody had been recommending that for a long time. But I mean, so when I read a book that really like impacts me, I try to write notes, and I have this like document that I read to myself every single day. And what I added into my document that I read every day is some quotes from that book. And one of them is when you have a dream, the universe conspires for you for that dream to happen. And if you have faith in that and a belief in that, then it relieves a lot of the tension. Like you said, you can just get out of your own way. You know when to read the signs and what they called the omens in that book. But when the writing's on the wall, that dream, you'll see them everywhere if you know and are looking for them.
Yeah, I love that book. And for those that don't know what an alchemist is, an alchemist, I believe I'm right on this, turns coal into gold.
Yes.
Or something along those lines.
Turns something into gold. Yeah.
Yeah, it turns nothing into gold. That's what an alchemist is. So really, it's a metaphor for life. You got to be able to take your life and transform it into gold, whatever that means to you. And in that book, it's what's it called? His personal destiny, a personal greatness or something like that.
Personal dream, I think is what they called it.
Yeah. But the biggest thing I got from that book is the omens part, because I want to get woo-woo or anything, but every time I've ever needed to make a decision in my life, I've been given signs. And as soon as I take that, life opens up. And when I ignore it, life gets dull and I get stuck. So follow your gut, think rationally, but that gut feeling and those signs that you're seeing, I think they're real.
For sure. I don't think it's woo-woo at all. I'm a huge advocate. And again, same as you, like when I think back on the times when I just like trusted and took what, like something just popped into my lap and I trusted it and just went for it. Those things have always worked out a lot better for me than the things that I just tried to like, force, and like there was really no energy or support behind it. Those things have fallen short, a lot of times.
Yeah, and they don't make sense, man. They really, rarely do these things make sense in the moment. But when you look back, you can connect the dots. Like, if this wouldn't have happened, then this wouldn't have happened, and this wouldn't happen, this wouldn't happen, this wouldn't happen. It's all like little tiny things that connect each other, that if one thing wouldn't happen, you actually wouldn't even be here.
Right.
Where you're at today. So it's crazy how all the stuff lines up when you allow it to.
Yeah, I recently, and I've heard a couple people say it, but the one that's resonating with me right now is Ryan Holiday and Gary Vee did a podcast together recently, and they were talking about the impossibility of being born, even. Like all the things that have to perfectly align in order for your birth to have even, for your conception to have even happened. And it's that kind of thing,
We're getting deep now, man. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
And that goes into, we don't even know what life is. Like, we're this little planet. Who knows how infinite space is? It's all, we're such a tiny thing, and it's interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, we're just specks of dust, man, on like this big, massive. I also saw recently there's this satellite telescope thing that was able to find like this black part of space, right? It shot its lens into this like black part of space, and it was such a powerful telescope that when it zoomed in, it like picked up like planets and galaxies and I don't know all the terminology that made our galaxy look like a speck of dust, like an atom. So it's like the infinite size of the universe just blows my mind. It like literally makes me think like
I
of
I
all
have
the
no
things.
idea. Have no idea about anything. Like like everybody, but we could be our solar system could be an atom in a larger organism.
Yeah,
Like
I think
we
about
could
that.
we could be Athan. We could
Yeah,
we could be a skin cell. Like who knows, man? It's crazy.
yeah, it is crazy. And well, that's what gives me hope, and that's what gives me it allows me to just let go. You know, I think it's so often we get in trouble when we try to make ourselves right, make other people wrong, say this is good and that's bad. And like we try to like be the owners of knowledge and wisdom rather than being like consumers of it, rather than just being students of life and wisdom. You know, and that's where I thought it helps remind me of that. I don't know shit. I don't know shit about shit.
That goes back to another thing that holds people back. So I've created a lot of tools that I try to use to once I get into my own head and maybe start feeling some of that fear or something, like you got to create tools to kind of help yourself stay on the right path and stay on that journey. So one of the things I do is, I think about how massive the infinite universe is and how small I am and how really my life doesn't matter. Like a billion years from now, probably 500 years from now, 100 years, people aren't going to know who I am, what I did. It's going to be as inconsequential as like, so like, what are you scared of? Like, does it matter? And it's kind of weird because we want our lives to matter. I think our lives do matter, but if you can zoom out and see that humans have been around for crazy amount of time and we don't know anything about them. Like we don't even know like their names, what they look like or anything. Like you're the same way. So you ever read this article called The Cook and the Chef? It's about Elon Musk.
No.
So it basically dives into Elon Musk and how he accomplishes what he accomplishes and how he does it, how he thinks about things, his mental model about life and accomplishment. And it was called Cook and the Chef. So the cook follows a recipe to create food. The chef creates the recipe for others and he creates original stuff. So it's about first principles thinking. Anyways, there's this concept in it called Grand Theft Life. You ever played the video game Grand Theft Auto? It's a fictional world to where all goes. You can do anything. Steal cars, shoot guns, bad things, good things, you can explore, do whatever you want to. But basically it's saying, life's not too far off from Grand Theft Auto. Your life is kind of like Grand Theft Life. There's really no consequences other than you need to feed your family and don't go to jail and don't die. Other than that, if you treat your life like Grand Theft Auto, the video game, how would your life open up to where if you removed all of your ego, all of your fear, and just did whatever you wanted to and went hard for whatever you wanted to and live your life like a Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft Life, how would you be living your life if you were living your life like that video game? How are you living now? And then how would you live your life if you were living Grand Theft Life? And it kind of gets you on track to kind of a good mental exercise to get you on track to kind of, what am I doing? Like, why am I scared of this? It's like, well, that's kind of stupid. Or, I do need to start doing this. Like, all right, I'm going to start doing it. Grand Theft Life, baby. Let's go.
I love that. And I can see that happening in a lot of ways. I've heard it said differently, in that, like, what would your life look like if you weren't afraid? If you just had no fear, like there was nothing that you were afraid of in the world, like what would be some of the actions and things that you would take? I fear, you mentioned it earlier in the show, and I personally feel like the main evil in this world that is fear. It's what keeps us from living all of our dreams, from doing all of the good that we want to do, from anything that, is just literally just like we're afraid to do it. So then the question is, it's like, well, what do I need to do to have less fear? To just do a few more courage, to have the courage, like you stand for, to just, okay, I'm afraid, but I'm going to go ahead and do this anyway.
Yep.
And what would the world look like if everybody was doing that?
I think the main fear is people have is they think it's an internal fear, but I think it's really a fear of external fear, a fear of what other people will think.
Yep.
A fear of looking weird, a fear of being out of the ordinary, a fear of standing out, a fear of perceived failure if it doesn't work out, and giving people too much credit, man. They're putting way too much on what other people think when everybody's so caught up in their own lives, they don't give a F about you. And if they do hate you for failing, for going out and trying something, that's the type of people you don't even want to give the time of day, man. It's like, let me kind of explain courage a little bit because that kind of leads into that. So my company Courage right here, the reason I created that is because back home, I have a lot of talented friends, a lot of talented people I know that weren't doing anything because they were scared to go out and attack life and try to accomplish something. So I was like, how can I create a tool that helps people show more courage in life? You can't just create a wrench and adjust somebody's courage behind their ear. Now, how can I do this? So I wanted to create something that people could wear, something people could get from, and then create a whole community, a whole movement that plants a seed here. This person does it, inspires another person, and then it's a ripple effect. So that's what courage is. So courage spelled with a J. That J represents your journey, because life is a journey, and you're going to need sustainable, long-term courage every day. The lion, so the logo is half lion, half Native American chief, and the star represents your goal or your purpose that you're going for. So the lion is strong, courageous, is driven. And then the chief is wise, it's a warrior, it's a leader. And the star, that's your North Star. That's what you're going for. Courage is, I like to say, it's the currency of life. So if you go to the grocery store, everything has a cost. And you pay the American currency, United States currency is the American dollar. That's the currency that our economy runs on. What you want to accomplish in life also has a price, just like the stuff at the grocery store. But to accomplish that price is going to be bought in your courage. So life accomplishment runs on the currency of courage. All right. Now, the bigger a goal is, the more courage is going to take, the more expensive, the more valuable it is. The lower the goal, the less courage is going to take. Big goals cost a lot of courage. You're going to have to spend a lot of currency, a lot of courage to get there. But it's valuable and it's worth it. That's why it's high price.
Man, dude, that's awesome. I love that explanation of it. I've never heard anyone say courage is the currency of life, but I love that concept. It was like, as you were saying it, I was sitting here thinking, and then it's like, okay, another way of saying that is the extent to which you're going to overcome your fears is to the extent of how successful your life is going to be, because that's all courage is pushing forward despite your fear. Man, that's powerful. That's badass. I had heard you explain it to me before, probably like 5 years ago. And I think I wasn't in a place in my life. I hadn't had the experiences that I had in the past 5 years that I've had now to really digest like what you put together. And a huge part of what's happened for me in the past 5 years that's different now is what you were talking about, that North Star, that star that's on your shirt. I kind of had a general fuzzy not very well defined version of what my purpose in life was, or is. And since then, I've spent a lot of time and effort sculpting and creating what that purpose is. And with that has shaped everything. Cause like you said, when you feel like you have a purpose, it's not that big of a deal to overcome a fear. It's not that big of a deal to have courage because, this is what I'm here for. Fuck everything else. Like why I'm not going to let this silly little thing get in the way of why I know I'm here. But if I didn't have that purpose, I'd still be afraid because I'd be unclear,
Yeah. I mean, you're in the Army, you know how to navigate.
Yeah.
If you're trying to navigate, you got to have an end spot, a location you're trying to get to. And that's the most important thing, or else you're in the woods and you're just going every which way. And having that goal is the first thing. But it changes along the way, man. Because a lot of people think small minded, and not because they're wrong in doing so. It's just because the way we're wired. But if you have a small goal, go for it. Go for the small goal, because that's going to lead you to your next goal and the next goal and next goal, and eventually you're creating and accomplish some crazy big stuff.
Yeah, because when you get there, it creates confidence. It's like I accomplished this goal that maybe I didn't even think I could accomplish. And maybe to everyone else on the outside looking in, like, oh yeah, that was a layup, But getting, making that layup is like, oh, I can do things. I'm capable, And so it's important.
That goal didn't exist when you started your first goal. So I tell people all the time, you got to do this thing now because it's going to prepare you for something that doesn't even exist right now, an opportunity that doesn't even exist.
Right.
Like, think about technology. Someone created a little device, and then that allowed them later on to create something even crazier. Or you took a course on marketing because you're interested in it. 5 years later, an opportunity comes around with crypto or whatever didn't exist at the time. And now you have the tool to go accomplish that because you have the confidence, you have the tools in the toolbox. You have to prepare for opportunity. If you're not prepared for opportunity, you can't take action on opportunity. That's why taking these small actions that might not work out, that you might fail, you might succeed, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is to gain tools, to gain confidence, so you can take action on opportunities when those come. Because the life will give you opportunities, and it might not be right now. You might be waiting to the right time, because timing is everything in opportunity. But when that time comes, you'll be prepared.
That's right. Yeah. And I think there was so much packed in there. There's a few things. It's like, those lessons. So going back to The Alchemist, just because it's fresh in my mind, I recently read it, is that the universe will also test you many times en route to your dream, so that not to prevent you from your dream, but to prepare you to have earned the ability to actually achieve that dream when it comes. They're like you said, it's the lessons and the tools that you learn from the tests, trials, tribulations that give you the ability to have that ultimate success. And then the navigation thing is also important. You mentioned like kind of land navigation, and for maybe a lot of people haven't been out in the woods with a compass or whatnot, but right, you have an endpoint, you start walking towards it. But during that, you're going to realize there's a tree in the way, there's a ravine in the way, there's a hill in the way, there's something that you're going to have to circumnavigate in order. So your direct path to that point never happens that way. You have to, and actually there's an infinite number of paths to that endpoint, but you're never going to actually realize the best one until you start walking, and you're not going to know what obstacles are going to be in the way of that endpoint either until you start walking.
That's an amazing metaphor. I've used something similar in the past too. And if you're going to climb a mountain, say a professional mountaineer, okay, they see a mountain, they see where they're going, they can see the top of it, and they can get a sense of the weather, how the weather is going to be or whatever. But if they set back and try to plan every step of hiking that mountain, they would never hike it because it's not possible. What they do is they start hiking, come across a stump, go over the stump, come to a snake in the road, go over the snake. Go around the snake, don't go over it because you might get bitten. but go around it. All these different things, like you can't hike the mountain until you start hiking the mountain. That's it.
Right.
Start hiking.
100%. And I just love that message, man. And that's something that, I really want people who are listening to this show and anyone who I have any type of influence or impact on, I just want people to know is like, you're capable of amazing things. You don't even know what you're capable of, and you're never going to know until you just get started. So just have a dream, create a dream, even if that dream is going to change. It's guaranteed to change later on, but just pick a dream, go for it. And then you're going to really find out what you're capable of,
Let life.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, cool. So let's jump into a couple. So what do you have going on? Like, do you have anything you're launching that you want people to know about? Is there ways that people can find you and sign up for your programs, or like what kind, how can we put your stuff out there, man?
Yeah. Duncan Hustle, all my social media handles. I'm not really active on anything other than Instagram. But like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm going to attack YouTube hard this year. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe to me on YouTube, then I'm going to start putting out some stuff. So that would be what I would do if people are trying to follow me and some of the motivation I'm going to be putting out. And if you got anything from this podcast, then you might also get some stuff from the stuff where I actually make a real video and put a lot of effort into it. So Duncan Hustle on YouTube probably be where I'd go.
Yeah, and you were kind of downplaying your skills in this. So everybody who's listening to this, he is a great photographer. Some of the stuff that he has filmed and that I've witnessed him create is freaking high-end, top-notch, phenomenal. And if you're trying to learn how to do stuff like that, or you just want to learn from a really creative guy, I don't follow you on YouTube right now, but I'm glad you mentioned it because I am going to follow you on YouTube. Because that's the kind of stuff that I want to witness and learn how to do also. So,
yeah, I went and paddleboarded the Statue of Liberty. Got arrested in the process because you're not supposed to be that close to the statue. So I have a whole video. If that interests you, you think that's funny, then I have a whole video about that on YouTube.
I think I saw parts of that maybe on Instagram. I saw some of that, which I thought was cool as hell.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to plug your Courage brand. You can buy that shirt that he's wearing and other ones like that, hats and stuff like that, which I'm still rocking a gray Courage hat from like 5 years ago. It has the red logo and then the red Courage kind of like right near the snapback. It's pretty beat up right now, but so I'm going to have to get a refresh and get a new one.
Courage.com, COURAJ.com. And what's on there right now is basic stuff, but along with YouTube, Courage is going to be a big part of that too. So we're going to start ramping that back up this year.
Awesome. Well, man, I deeply appreciate you so much. Like I said, I know what is inside of you because I've felt it and seen you doing it. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity just to kind of tap into a little bit. We didn't get into nearly everything that we could get into, but I'm just glad that we were able to pull out a nugget of that for our listeners. And I hope that they start following you because you are a true inspiration.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Just a guy with a positive mind that's willing to go out and try stuff. So yeah, if I can leave your guys with your audience with anything, it's courage, hustle, and a positive mind can rule all of mankind. All right.
I love that. All right. Well, thanks for being on the episode and that's a wrap.
All right, Athan. Thanks very much, man.